mean, koneshe ability. Just say you love me, baby, love me like you say you. Show me like you say you. I say I love you, let me show you like I say I do. Show me like you say you. Just say you love me, baby, love me like you say you. Show me like you say you. I say I love you, let me show you like I say I do. Show me like you say you. Just say you love me, baby, love me like you say you. I say I love you, let me show you like I say I do. Show me like you say you. Just say you love me, baby, love me like you say you. I say I love you, let me show you like I say I do.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Radio 254. This is the 254 Express. My name is Joker 254, and we just had Ability. And I don't know where you live. If you live in Kenya and you haven't heard Ability, then you're living under a rock. That song is everywhere. And we have a special guest in the building today. Very, very special guest. Cedo's in the building, and we're very excited. We can't wait to figure out how this happened, what's happening. But welcome to Radio 254.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate.
Kesho ni holiday. Kuna plans?
Yeah. Kesho na hope kulala the whole day. It's been a busy last couple of weeks for me. And it's still going to be a busy next couple of days. So I want to take the day off, and just chill. What about you?
Mi nakuja job. So radio easy lala
na kufeel, bro.
When there's holidays, when people are mostly, like most guys at home or free, so they're gonna be listening.
Yeah.
So we're gonna keep Kenyan music alive tomorrow for them.
Amazing.
I wanna start off by congratulating you on the new project.
Thank you.
It is star-studded. It is diverse. It is so different. So curious. So we have Ceduction.
Yes.
This is your first album, correct?
Yes, this is my first album.
How does that feel?
I've been nerve-wracking in the beginning. I was scared. I didn't know how this was gonna go. But I'm really excited right now that people are getting to understand and appreciate what we're doing, and it's so cool. I'm happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I remember the first time I heard of Cedo myself, and it was when you were producing for Pacho.
Right.
So I remember, okay, there's a guy out there. If you go to Pacho, the production is, because Naiboy himself can produce, but then he had a producer who was like a secret weapon.
Yes.
So Pacho ilikuwa na secret weapon and it was Cedo. Lakini we never saw Cedo.
Yes.
And then I had then heard of you from Sauti Soul when you were the music director.
Yes.
And then nojo tumezoea producer, music director tujui ni nini. Uko na beats. Kama uko na beats, tuna rap ama tunaimba. Lakini unaanza kusema music director. And then we saw the shift from there. And you've done so many different things.
Yeah.
But I think that it'd be unfair for us to talk about Cedo and Ceduction without getting to understand the journey.
History, yeah.
So I want to go way to the beginning. Cedo alizaliwa wapi?
I'm born and raised in a place called Shamahoho.
Okay.
People ask me, is it a real place?
Uko ni wapi?
Ni uko, sides. It's in Western Kenya.
Okay. So you're Kenyan for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
You have so many Tanzanian features, Ugandan features. We don't know if you're Kenyan or not. This guy's Kenyan.
Born and raised in Shags, I'm telling you. Shamahoho is somewhere between Kisumu and Kakamega.
Okay.
Somewhere in there. That's where I was born and raised. I went to school there.
Okay. Siblings? Do you have siblings?
Yeah.
Younger, older?
Yeah, both. I do have both. We have a big family.
Okay.
We're about 7 of us.
7 of you.
Yeah.
Na uko katikati?
Niko second last.
Yeah. So I'm curious in the sense of when you were growing up, what kind of music was playing at home? Whether it was your parents or whether it was your siblings?
My mom really loved Christian music, so we had a lot of gospel music playing around. My dad loved classical, jazz, and those kind of genres. So I had sort of like a very big choice of genres to choose from in terms of my repertoire and what I was listening to, because my dad, on the other hand, really didn't like a lot of Kenyan music. He hardly listened to Kenyan music, except, you know, the Kenyan music that was, you know, in alignment with those kind of things that, you know, he wanted. He was not a guy of Sijui Lingala and Sijui Nini. He's not that kind of guy, you know. But you see, now my mom on the other side didn't like listening to, you know, classical music, didn't appreciate that genre. But then she opened me into another, you know, world of, you know, Kenyan music, Kenyan content, you know, East African content, you know, that was gospel.
Growing up, how would you guys listen to music? Was it like, were you TV, KBC? Music kutoka wapi?
Sana radio, a bit of TV, not so much of TV, mostly on radio. And then, you know, of course, we grew up with cassettes and the likes, you know, and CDs. So that was our main, you know, source of content at the time. Yeah.
So for me, nilikuwa nimefosiwa kwenda piano lessons, but I'm curious for you. I guess, do you play any instruments? And like, I'm curious as to how many instruments you play.
So I am more an arranger than an instrumentalist. So I play keys. I can play keys, you know, for song and play in a concert. But I use the keys to interpret every other instrument, you know. So I can give you ideas for string sections and brass section and vocals, but I only play the keys.
You only play the keys?
Yeah.
Okay.
And unlike you, I didn't have a music teacher. You know, I wish I had someone who was pushing me, like, you know, you should go to learn piano. Yeah. So I didn't really learn. I don't know, like, professional, you know.
Unajua hizo my letters, hizo my A's,
whatever. Letters najua, you know, but najua letters, but I don't know at least you grade 1 keys, grade 3.
Kuna watu walifanya hadi sijua kuna certificates, sijui England, sijui Cambridge, sijui nini.
Sijui. I've never had that experience.
So, what's school like for you? I guess what was growing up like? So you went to school where?
Yeah. Primary school, Kaimosi Friends Primary School. After that, I went to Musingo High School, which is not so far. Then I went to Moi University to study law.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I did some research. So I saw you did study law, but it's something you don't practice. But I'm curious as to why when you were deciding to go to pursue law, what was did you want to be a lawyer for the longest time, or was it just something you were doing? I guess
no, I didn't dream of being a lawyer. It was just something that was in line with, you know, my family expectations, society expectations at the time. It was just easier to do law. It was just safer to do law than to pursue music or whatever it is I wanted to do at the time. So I did, while I was, you know, doing the law degree and the postgraduate diploma, I was also, you know, doing music on the side, you know, practicing and so on and so forth.
So ulipata muziki wapi? Because clearly it was before law. It was before you even went to Moi, correct?
Yeah.
So where did you, I guess, what was your first experience or your first, like, how you figured out, okay, this is something I like doing, this is what I'm passionate about?
I mean, I don't think I really can say that there was a beginning, because I just started being fascinated with music from a young age. You know, I started playing with musical toys, then playing keys for the, you know, since I was really small. And then after that, after becoming a keyboard player, I realized that you can arrange music on the keyboard. So I started doing that. And then I realized you can use a computer and the keyboard.
Do you remember when you could play on a keyboard and save what you played?
Exactly.
Like even on a what they call diskette. You could actually go and make a beat.
Yeah, I was
yes,
exactly. I was one of those guys. Yeah. So that's how it started. And then it just started evolving. So it's just been a journey of evolution from the beginning, from playing with the toys into now getting into making music from a computer, and then working with different artists or vocalists, instrumentalists. So it just kept on growing like that. I can't say like it started here, but to come to Nairobi to do music, I did, I think, in 2005-06 there.
Okay.
That's when I decided sort of like to join the music industry.
Is this after you finished school or while still in school?
I was still in school.
Okay.
I was still in school.
I'm very curious about something.
Yeah.
Can Cedo sing? Because are you going to surprise us one day like Polycarp and be like, I can sing? Because we've heard your production.
Yeah.
And whether it's hip hop, whether it's R&B, we know you can produce. Yeah. But the one thing I'm curious is, like, can Cedo sing?
I wish I
Have you tried?
I have tried. But in very, you know, in the background, you know, doing like a background vocal or something. And I really don't like how I sound. So I don't think I have the courage.
Because sometimes producers, when you're in the studio with a producer, anakuambia, suimbe hivi. Yeah. I feel like telling him, suwe uimbe hivo. So wataka niimbe hivo, we imbe hivo. Because it's like, you're telling, because of course you have the ear, but it's like, can you...
Yeah,
can you sing?
Yeah, I can hear the melody, but I can't. Sometimes for me, I even have to, you know, play it on the keys, because even trying to pronounce the melody is hard for me sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in 2005, you decide to come to Nairobi.
Yeah.
Okay, explain to me your thinking process, because I'm wondering, one, do you even know about a studio there? Are you, what kind of music, like what gives you that conviction? You're like, okay, I'm gonna go to Nairobi.
Right.
That's a bit of, I feel like that's a scary decision to be making.
So we started making music in Eldoret because now I was in campus in Moi University, so it was just easier to set up a kiosk studio there.
Uko na record akina nani uko? Mama today ama akina nani?
Yeah, just random people, students, just guys who are LD, guys who are streets too. We were just making our own LD thing, you know. Okay. And it was quite a community at the time, you know. It was small, but it was a thing, you know.
Uko naitwa nani hizo siku?
Same thing.
Cedo, it's been Cedo from Jump.
You know, so I realized that nilikuwa sort of like exhaust, you know, wasanii wa Eldoret na wase wa hiyo environment. So nilikuwa tuna appetite. I wanted to see, you know, if I went to Nairobi, can I be able to, you know, work with some of the artists there? I sort of like felt nikikuwa tu aligned at the right studio, I'd probably meet these guys, wangepata chance ya kusikia what I can do and so on and so forth. So I tried to look for studios, sijui Ogopa, sijui nini.
Siku hizo hata kulikuwa na Google Maps ama 2005 unatafuta studio aje, because we know where Ogopa is, pale South B kwa rounda, but like to get a chance in a situation like that, akina Banda, like how do you even find these studios?
You have to know someone who knows someone who can take you there. So that's the way it was. So I had to, you know, call somebody and then wait for them to be available to tell me this is the day you can come with me, and then I go, and then we hope that person is going to hook us up with the person who knows another person, you know. So it was like that. I tried a couple of places, eventually landed on a studio called Southwest. At the time, Mike Black was the producer. You know, he was working on Red Sun's album. Then, you know, I met Mike. He started showing me a few things. I realized there's so much I don't know about music. You know, there was a production process. You know, there's something called mixing, mastering. There's this thing called I didn't know what those were. I didn't know, you know, they sort of like how to prepare a song to be radio ready, you know. So he showed me a few tricks there, and then after some time he quits and goes to start his own thing with the late Moax.
Mike Black and the Herbalist.
Yeah, exactly.
Rest in peace.
Yes. Yeah. So when he went to start that thing, I remained in that studio. So that's when I started getting my first gigs.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious because you've said something really funny. What DAW were you using when you were in LD? Because I'm wondering, utakuja na hiyo upate wanatumia Logic.
Yes,
also, when you were in LD starting out, what were you using and how were you? Because now you come and see, and huku ni different.
Yeah, completely. So of course, FL Studio, you know, was the mother of everybody. You know, we all started there. Then there was this one software in LD which was called Cakewalk. You know, everybody was just using it, so I started using it as well. Then I came to Nairobi and people were using different things. You know, I saw for the first time this thing called Samplitude. You know, it was so alien looking. I'd never seen anything like that or even thought that you could make music like that. It was just another completely different world, you know. But I was able to be integrated in that. I realized there's so many options. I didn't like Samplitude myself. It was a bit restrictive for me because I would love playing keys, you know. So I wanted something that I can play keys as well. So that journey kept on. You know, I kept on, you know, getting into that journey of discovery and finding out what's the right thing for me and so on and so forth.
So the music you were making in LD was not mixed or mastered?
No.
So when you played it, it probably sounded like shit.
Yeah, totally.
You played on big speaker, like it was...
In our opinion, it was sounding really nice. We knew that, you know, based on our perspective at the time and our LD standards, we knew we were okay. But tukicheza with the big boys, bro, it was crazy. Sounding bad.
So now umeacha kwa studio peke yako, wasi wameishia. What happened? Okay, and I'm also wondering, you is this point where you've come to Nairobi?
Yeah.
Are you supposed to be in school?
Yeah.
So umeambia is this a sem break? Unajua kuna kizungu mingi, kuna kitu inatangwa sijui sem break, sijui medifa, sijui nini. What's going on school wise in this in between? Like you're in between, but what have you told your parents? What umekula fees? What's happening?
So class was going on, and you know, because I mean, in campus, how do I say, like, there wasn't the level of, you know, closeness and restriction enough for lecturers to notice there's someone either missing or there's someone new in my class. Because, you know, lecturers would be shuffled all the time. We used to, you know, it was just a dynamic environment. So what I'd do is, when I knew we were in a season where we don't have, you know, assessment tests or any papers to do, I would just sneak out to Nairobi, stay there for a period of time, and then someone would tell me, you know, next week we have a cut, or over the weekend we have something. Narudi. and I do whatever I need to do, and then I go back again and continue. That's the way it was.
You're not serious.
For real.
What?
Yeah.
So you're going on these breaks.
Yeah.
Ukikuja Nairobi unakaa wapi? Okay,
Yeah.
of course, because I'm wondering, okay, you've come, your parents have told you you're going to school, you're supposed to be in school. They've not brought you to Nairobi.
Yes.
So now when you go to Nairobi, you're on your own trying to figure it out.
Yes.
Unakaa na nani?
So, of course, I couldn't stay with relatives or anybody who had a connection to my family because it was
Najua amekuja Cedo, alikuja Thursday.
Tumekuwa naye hapa wiki tatu. Yeah. So I would just stay with friends, and I needed sometimes, to
Hop.
to hop all over the place, depending on who or how, whoever would receive me at the time, So it was nothing very how do I say, I just needed to know that I could have a place to stay today, or at least for this week, and that was okay for me at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes it was bad, so we would just stay in the studio for a period of time.
So una test your life kidogo, unajua okay, naweza enda kwa studio, naweza fanya hivi, you're meeting artists.
Yeah.
When you finish school, you've done what you need to do for your parents. Are you dead set on like, okay, I'm going to go do this? Or when you finish school, what's your thought? Because you even talk about postgraduate diploma and everything. So it's like, you got the degree, you finished that, but that's not, I heard someone, you said you wanted to be in media. You always knew that.
Yeah.
So it's like, once you finish school, how do you then decide, okay, I'm going to do this permanently?
Yeah. So that was a bit of a transition point for me, because I realized that having a law degree could only give me certain opportunities in the law career, but having the being admitted to the bar would open another world of opportunities. So I really debated for a while whether I should do this thing or I shouldn't do it, but because it was happening in Nairobi and it would give me a chance to live in Nairobi, legally.
Yes,
let's do it. So I would go to Kenya School of Law when I needed to, and then do music at the other times.
Okay.
Yeah.
But from the people who I know who've gone to KSL is a very intensive program.
Very.
Like it's hard to balance anything else, even a relationship.
Very.
So like, how do you balance KSL?
I couldn't manage. I couldn't make it. I failed the final exam and I didn't have the strength to go back and finish.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was just like I sort of had the feeling that I couldn't do what I did in campus. This time it was not gonna work out.
Yeah. Because your heart wasn't in it.
My heart wasn't in it.
But at the same time, you're now in Nairobi where you wanted to be.
Yes.
So now the world is your oyster.
Yeah.
So ulichezaje?
So nimekam Nairobi, I tried to anchor myself onto these studios. I realized I started working with more artists, but then I was like on an upward trajectory of being recognized as a producer, but without money.
Okay.
So people didn't trust me enough to be able to pay me good money so I can have my own house and settle and So I quit production for some time and then got into live performances. So I joined a band, we started doing, hotel gigs and so on and so forth. I did that for a while.
What was the name of the band?
Ultimate Band. My boss was Walter Mongare.
So now you're in a band. When you gigging too?
Yeah, many gigging too.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
Friday,
hotel.
Sunday, sometimes Wednesdays.
Okay.
And then so gradually just stepping off studio until at some point I didn't do any studio work for like a year or even more.
So you say something really important, and I want to focus on it for a second.
Yeah.
I know a lot of Kenyan music producers, and whether they are big or small, or whether they've produced a hit or many songs, producers, I feel like, get stepped on or disrespected the most because I can come, I'll record my song, I get the song, I can take the song to radio, I forget about you.
Yeah.
Once you give me the file, I'm out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need you. Like, we're done.
Yeah.
So a lot of times you'll see like an artist will have a hit song and has not paid the producer. Yeah. Or the producer has got so many hits, but nothing to show for financially. And it's a weird place because you can't have a song without a producer.
Yeah.
But the producer is the guy, you don't know the producer. Yeah. Bro, nobody knows what Lucas looks like.
Yeah,
but he's,
and it's like, he's
even
like the father of Kenyan music in many respects,
Like even when people talk about, but in America, you think about production, you think Dr. Dre is a billionaire.
Yeah.
And it was because of after the albums he's produced will feed him and his, but here producers are, and Patia beat, boom.
It's a rap, yeah.
So as a producer who has been there,
Yeah.
I guess, what would you tell the producer who's got the songs on the radio, but it's not, because the break or going to a band might not be that thing. But like for you, how did that break help you? Because I'm curious, because we have you back, but like, what did you understand in that break that you would tell to the person who's now, they've got the hits, but they've not understood what this is and how it can look like for them?
Yeah. So a lot of creatives get the temptation to, focus on being very, very good, and then thinking that excellence in whatever they do is going to be sufficient, and they would not need, like other support systems to help them with their career. So someone knows, as long as I am an athlete, I need to be just very good at either, running or whatever it is. And then, I'll just get deals, and then I'll get endorsements, and I'll tour the world. But it's not that easy, The creative aspect is just, one thing out of the full picture. You need to understand that if you want to make money, there's a, thinking behind it, there's a science behind it. You have to understand your audience, you have to understand market, you have to understand how that system works, so that your product can be able to flourish in that environment. So I learned, or I started realizing that, and I had a discussion with Clemo those many years ago, and he really planted that seed in me, and was telling me the same thing, saying me, because I was telling him I'm not doing studio work anymore, and he was so sad for me. He was like, what do you mean you're not producing anymore? I told him I'm not making money, and he told me you just don't know how to. And I was like, yeah, actually, that's true.
Because Clem was also doing the same thing you were doing. I come and come and produce.
Yeah.
Like, you do projects for Homeboys or Coca-Cola Popstar. But there's a business.
Yeah,
but we don't get taught the business. You get taught.
Yeah, we don't understand. And then it's also like a culture, in the industry where, because being an artist or someone who sings already has evolved to a certain place, instrumentalists, producers, and so on and so forth. We have to sort of like figure out, what is our business. If a singer understands their business, it's not, I can't fault them for knowing their business and then blaming them because I am not making money.
Yeah.
I need to understand, what's my right, in this, I've made a beat for someone. Am I supposed to earn money from that, or what happens? Is this person even supposed to pay me? When they pay me, do I lose a right? Do I gain a right? And so on and so forth. Yeah. So I had to be forced to understand that. And painfully though, because being, wanting to do what you love and then not being able to make a living out of it is really frustrating. Yeah. It is very frustrating. It could lead you to a very, very dark.
Especially because society and your family will be like, what are you doing? Yeah, where's the money? Unafanya muziki. You look like a mad person, exactly. But you're literally working very, very hard, but have nothing to show for.
You have nothing to show for it. Exactly. If you had become a lawyer,
yours is even worse. Unaona watu ulisema na wao, unaona wananunulia wazazi wao shamba, sijui wako na
and there you are, unajua, you look sijui aje, So I had to learn that the hard way. I had to understand that, this is one aspect. I need to understand all these other aspects. No one tells you, show up on time, be a person who knows how to communicate, because people will communicate very well what they want. You need to also know how to communicate very well what you want, because don't blame that other person who says, this is what I want, and you can't say, this is what I want in return, those, and so on and so forth, yeah.
So by the time you're meeting Clemon, he's like sad that you're not producing anymore. Yeah. Nikumanisha, the songs you're producing when you're actively producing were fire.
Yeah.
What do you remember, or like what songs were before you took this break? What songs had you produced that we would even know about?
I did a lot of gospel music with Maxman Melodies.
Okay.
Pastor T. He's now Pastor T. Is called Mr. T. I did Michelle's remix to Bamboo's Compare.
Yes.
If you remember that song.
Yes.
Yeah, I did that. And many other songs, especially in the gospel circles. I had so much music, on the airwaves. Yeah, and I'd worked with many gospel artists at the time.
Okay.
From Kina Emoji. That time, all the gospel artists of that time, I probably had worked with almost all of them.
How did you get into that scene, or how did you find yourself there?
So after the March incident, we couldn't sustain that studio with the guy I was running it with. So he had to close it down, and I had to find, where I was going to work. Mm-hmm. So because I was in Nairobi, there was this studio that was, sort of like in a building opposite somewhere where I used to frequent. So someone told me, why don't you check out this studio? So I went there and found Maximum Melodies had this studio, and I told them, can I be doing some of my work over here? They're like, yeah, sure, as long as you keep it clean, no problem.
Yeah.
Like, sure, let's do it. Then I just started getting more gospel clients, more and more gospel clients, and that's how that started out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you join a band. Was like in alternate, what were you, because you say you play.
Yeah.
So was that you're playing keys?
I started by playing keys, and then that transitioned into like being the band leader. So I had to decide what music we were going to play, which instrumentalists are going to play what parts, and so on and so forth. That's now where the idea of a music director.
I feel like it makes sense why you are a music director.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
director when uni kampuni, but it starts to make sense.
Yeah. So interestingly, that when I had I'd played in the band for a while, Ultimate got a gig at it was called Safaricom Kenya Live, where we had to work with many Kenyan artists from Red Sun, Waire, Nameless, Wahoo, Kina Emoji, so many artists.
Yeah.
So I got a chance to play and create music sets for them for a tour across the country. So after that tour, Red Sun tells me, I'm having a problem in studio. I need help on some song. And I told him, I'm not really, producing anymore. I was like, no, you just come. Let's just vibe. It's like, cool. So I get into studio, and we worked on Better Than Most. And that's now the first time I got back into studio after doing the band thing.
Wait, I'm confused. Better Than Most wasn't produced by Dilly?
No.
Really?
No. Wasn't produced by Dilly.
I was always so sure that was a Dilly production.
Better Than Most was done by myself. I did most of the production. Sapi did some additional elements. Yeah, Sapi did some additional elements, but I did the production.
Cedo, there's something that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
What would you genre? Ujui genre ni nini? Juu unaweza fanya gospel, unajua unafanya dancehall, unatupatia sijui Nyashinski, unatufanya how is it that your ear, or like you can create so many different sounds?
Well, I could say it's my upbringing, but to be honest, I just think I've opened myself up to listening to a lot of music and also playing a lot of different types of music. So when I hear a hip hop track, I wouldn't mind making something similar to that. But if I listen to a beautiful orchestra, I also wouldn't mind trying to make something like that. Yeah.
So when you are tasked with like a job of like creating a set for an artist, let's say we're doing a tour.
Yeah.
A Waire set is nothing like Karun set.
Yes.
How do you figure out how does that even work? Because I feel like that's a beautiful thing to be able to understand.
Yeah.
But I'm curious how you figure that out.
I don't know if there's... It probably comes naturally, because I don't think I have any strategy to... in doing that. I just know that if you put me in the same creative space with Karun, and I have the resources to arrange the music, we would make something really beautiful, and it'll be completely her. And if you give me Nyash with the same resources, I'll be able to make something really beautiful, and it'll be totally Nyash. And these two will be very different.
And there's no clash, like your brain doesn't mix things up. You're like, I forgot this is not a...
No, it doesn't. Sometimes I would intentionally like do something so that I'm able to like create a certain kind of sound. So I'd make a song for the band, and also make something for Shin that will be similar, just so I can have fun with the DJs and have fun playing it live if I want to. But that's intentional. But I hardly have any problems where I'd confuse and give this person something that I gave to you, who hardly happens.
So I'm confused about something.
Yeah.
Unakam pole sana. Are you unaweza kasirika? Like you seem so polite, so chill.
Oh my God.
Like you seem so calm. Like always he jam.
Wow. I think neza jam ni vile tu nisemeaje. I think nimegrow tu. Kitambo nilikuwa na kasirika sana. I used to be easily triggered, and I think I know how that feels like, and I know what the advantages and disadvantages of living like that. So I guess over time we practice to kukua grounded.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any vices? Does Cedo have any vices?
Yeah, I think everybody has vices. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to say it on radio?
It's up to
Drinks,
you.
bro.
But everybody has a vice, like you said.
Yeah.
Do you have one you feel like you'd be comfortable sharing, like a vice you have?
I don't know. I guess one of the biggest challenges I've had people complain when they interact with me is the fact that sometimes I see things through process or stages, you know. So an artist might want to work with me and want to do something now and finish it now so that it goes out immediately, you know. And I'd be, you know, no, let's take some time, let the music marinate, you know, let's listen to it with a few more people, let's consider working with other vocalists, let's add some instrument, let's just explore as many options as we can. And then after that we have to do a proper mixing, make sure the song, right levels for Spotify, right levels for CG, whatever. When you want to do a live performance, let's make sure that it bangs there, you know, kabisa. Let's just look at all the perspectives so that we don't release something and then later start thinking, we should have done this, you know, because you're releasing something and then something's going to be there forever. You know, why would you want to limit yourself in what you could be able to do with it? Yeah. So that for sure is something that I know a lot of people have really complained about. Like, maze unakana mziki sana, you know, we need to move. And I'm like, no. Yeah. So sometimes it might look like I'm lazy, or sometimes it may look like I'm just not wanting to commit, you know, to finishing something, but that's not true. Yeah.
I feel like some of the dopest things I see, like when you perform, if you don't actually get to use your voice, but like whether it's like you get your own like moment to like, and you get the crowd going. Yeah, it's like a performance.
Yes,
you know, when you think performance, you think mic.
Yeah,
but you perform on stage bila mic.
Yeah,
like what is that? That's madness.
Yeah, it's just that people have been used to, you know, consuming music from only very limited perspectives. You know, there's a way you can experience a concert with a vocalist, but you can also experience a concert with an instrumentalist, because music is a feeling, you know. I can be able to communicate that feeling to you and make you still feel euphoria, but without necessarily using words.
Yeah.
I can just.
I think you do an amazing job with that, because, like, bro, it's like a moment on stage. Even you do something that I've never seen before. It's like a performance, but it's not the performance anybody would. You know, it's like you're able to play keys and give us sounds and give us different things.
Yes.
That is electrifying.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that.
So you make Better Than Most.
Yeah.
Okay, what happens then?
So I've made Better Than Most. I was surprised. You know, the song becomes big. I was wondering, wait, what? I didn't see this coming. You know.
I did remix na DeMarco.
Yeah, I did remix na DeMarco. You know, it was just mind blowing. So at the time, because I was working at I was doing this live band thing and I had caught momentum, I was trying to now see if I can get back to studio. And then that's when I met Sauti Sol. In the same tour, the same Safaricom live tour, that's when I met Sauti Sol. And then through that process, we start vibing, you know. They were like, you know, we want to start producing our own music, we want to start doing this. I was like, yeah, cool, let's do it. I understand production. So we started doing, you know, studio work and also live music work.
Yeah.
So I was not limited to just, you know, producing or just arranging music in studio. I would be able to balance the two. How do we create content in studio? How we translate that into a concert and, you know, assign the right band and, you know, interpret all that and so on and so forth.
Because you even got to go on tour with them.
Yeah, I did.
But because of how Sauti Sol works, we don't, if you look at like production, it'll say Sauti Sol. Yeah. You won't get to know who arranged. Yeah. You know, like me, I love going through credits and be like, okay, this is the producer. But like with Sauti Sol, it's like, if you don't know. But I guess during the time you were the musical director, I guess what were you involved in, and I guess what are your proudest moments of that time?
So in a concert, we did so many tours together. And they got, you know, best performance, best African act MTV during that duration. Wow. You know, we were doing amazing concerts around the world, you know. And in studio, I co-produced Surayako.
Okay.
Nerea as well. I also played some elements in Nerea. But I don't know how to say, the way Sauti Sol work is when they want to get into a session, they'll have the ingredients in one room and then leave with the product.
Okay.
You know.
What does that mean? I don't understand.
So that means I want to do a club song, for instance, let me get producers who understand the club sound.
Yeah.
And then let me get, let's say, do I want to do background vocals? Let me get the best background vocalists for that. There's a good guy who knows how to come up with the catchiest hooks. Let me call that person too.
Okay.
Probably need a sick guitar. Let me call a guitarist too. Then we need the best engineer who can do that kind of sound. Bring those two. That too. Then have all those people in one room, explain the idea, and then get everybody to work.
So I'm curious about something.
Yeah.
When you're now at the point where you're like, I'm working on tours in terms of production, I'm working in studio with different artists, the family.
Yeah.
Is it good enough for them yet? Like
No.
at the point where it's Sauti Soul,
No.
is that good enough in the sense of afadhali haukuwa wakili, but like is it still like you still fucked up, or is it like I guess what was it at this point where you're like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm starting to make something, I can show you a bit of, but like is it still good? Was it good enough or not yet then?
No, not yet, because that was probably, that's just the beginning, and then I had also not put myself out there. So you would see Sauti Soul on tour, you would listen to the music, but there was no evidence that you are the one who did this, or you are the one who does this, or you even went there. I mean, fine, you could see some pictures on social media, but that was still not enough.
Yeah, you look like the guy who's playing keys over there.
Yeah, you just look like a guy who's playing keys over there. We don't understand exactly what you do. We just see you moving around, and that was still not good enough, for my folks back at home.
Okay.
Yeah.
As you continue, you meet a guy.
Mm-hmm.
How do you meet Nyashinsky? Like,
yeah,
I guess like, because I feel like he's very quiet and elusive, and you seem very quiet and elusive. Yeah. So munapatanaje, and how do you guys build that rapport, that bond?
Yeah. So when I'm working with in between Better Than Most and Surayako, I meet Naiboy, and then we vibe. It's such a good vibe. Then he's like, I have this studio here, and then I really need someone like you. It's like, yeah, let's partner.
Someone like you means what?
Yeah,
because Naiboy has had a studio since forever. So why would he need you? Like, what does he say? Like, when he needs you, what does he mean?
Yeah, so he needed someone who can be able to, we can turn ideas, from thought to production to execution very quickly, and he knew that he wasn't going to be able to do it by himself. So he needed someone who can take care of the production while he sort of like takes care of the face of the brand and the business and inviting the artists to come in to record and so on and so forth. So that's how our partnership started. Then long term, he wanted to change to Naiboy, and he also needed someone to take care of the studio while that transition is going on.
Okay.
So that's what happened.
So that's how you end up at Pacho.
That's how I end up at Pacho. And
now when you're at Pacho, you start to just unleashing hits.
Yeah, so we go. Naiboy gets me the artists, I'm there, just doing the production.
So it's actually the perfect partnership in the sense of him is able to bring you the artists, you're able to knock out the hits.
So we just kept on doing that. We kept on doing that for a period of time. And then one day Nameless calls me and tells me, man, you guys are doing okay at Pacho, but you need to chill. I mean, you're too much. Nakam sana, Yeah, as in, itafika mahali where people might get tired of that thing. So you need to start thinking about how you're going to evolve from that. And at the time I was like, really, do I really need to stop, or do I need to do this? But nikasema tu, okay, this guy's been there. Let me give him a chance.
Yeah.
So he calls me, let's talk more about this thing at my house. So I go to his house. A few minutes later, this guy walks in and I'm like, hi, niaje. I was like, mnajuana? I was like, no. He was like, no. Then so Monsky says, this is Nyash. I was like, oh, nice to meet you, Nini. I like your music.
He wasn't
recognizable at the time. He was looking different, kabisa. I hadn't shikanisha that this is the guy from back in the day. And then he was also, wearing, I don't know how, he chill out kidogo. I couldn't tell, Then he was told, this is Cedo. I was like, yeah, I also heard about you, Nini. Yeah. So tuka vibe tu hapo kidogo. Tukasema, okay, we'll work. Sawa. Then about 2 weeks later, Nyajoko studio, wacha ni come. Let's do something. He plays me some ideas. I play him some ideas. And then he's like, cool. We work on something. You call me when you have something ready. I make the beat for Mungu Peke. I call him. I have something here. Then he writes Mungu Peke, and that's how
the first song you make together is Mungu Peke.
Yes, that's the first song we make together.
That's scary.
Yeah,
because like if you start that high, the bar is high.
It was crazy. A lot of people were telling me that you shouldn't have done that with Shin. You should have given him a club banger. You should have done Sijunini. And at the time, I was stuck in between. Listening to Monsky tell me, you need to know how you're going to transition because and I sort of like felt that it was not right to put Nyash into that bandwagon of artistic club bangers and whatever. And he also knows how to do that very easily. We wanted to challenge ourselves to do something different.
So, I don't know. My mind is wondering.
Yeah.
The fact that you had made gospel music before.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know how involved you are in the when you guys meet that day and say, okay, you make something, call me. When you make Mungu Peke, is it just the beat or do you have like, I guess, what's the creative process when do you guys decide, okay, ingoma inafikiria hivi ama you just, how does that even happen? Was it a studio session?
Yeah, it was a studio session. No. Yes.
Okay.
That was a studio session. He gave me, we like vibed through, this is the kind of groove I'm looking for, this is the idea. And then he gave me a couple of days to work on it.
Okay.
I also didn't know he was writing a gospel song or something.
Okay, you had no idea.
I had no idea.
You just knew you were making a bed for something.
I just knew I was making music for something and without any other idea.
Okay.
So then he comes, does his recording.
Are you shocked? When you hear what he comes up with, are you shocked?
I was so shocked. And then this is how Shin likes to work. He wants the environment to be a particular way when he wants to record. He wants it at least dimly lit or totally dark.
Okay.
So I was staring at this computer. I couldn't see him. It was all dark.
The lights are off.
Lights are off. And then so I'm just recording. And then he started. Then he didn't have it. You take one. I just hit record and boom, the way I may record the whole thing. I was just like, man, what the hell is this? I was so shocked. Very shocked. I was laughing. I was going crazy. I was sweating. It was crazy. It was such an amazing moment. When we were doing Mungu Peke, even Malaika especially, I was just going crazy. I couldn't believe it.
Bro, like, you're in the room when this stuff is happening. Like, how do you not pinch us? Like, is this real? Like, for real? But you guys have made amazing music together. How many Nyashinsky unreleased songs do you have, Cedo, that have not been ever released? There's so many I want. The Aromat one. We ever had the one? He put it on IG and then he deleted it.
Yeah.
But there's so many unreleased songs. I'm sure. Some styles used to play on IG Live. Yeah. But like those songs, you guys hear them and you're like, this, like, why aren't you giving it? Like, this is heat. Like, how do you sit on heat?
Oh my God. Yeah. We did a count about a year ago. And we were at about close to 40 songs unreleased. And these are produced, just not completed.
Yeah.
That means they have a structure. They have either like a verse or chorus, or the whole song is done, just needs some mixing. But it just usually sometimes doesn't feel right to release that particular song at that time. Okay. So what usually happens is when we want to go into releasing a couple of songs, we'll probably listen to the library of what we have and see if there's something that feels right for the moment. If we don't have it, we'll just probably go into studio and start working on it again. Hapo 2, for instance, was done in 2019, the beginning of 2019, and completed. Chris Kega came to record his verse at the end of 2020. So
if you guys had the song, but it's when you went back and like, okay, we have these. Yeah. This one.
Yeah, we felt like this song would be the best song to release right now, but it needed a collaborator.
Okay.
So, and we didn't know. At the time, we were struggling with who is it going to be. So Shin said, why don't you try Chris Kaiga? I was like, yeah, cool. So I called Chris, told him to come to session. I gave him the track. He listened to the verse. I gave him like the sort of like concept or idea of what we were looking for, and then he recorded his verse. Those two didn't meet, by the way, in the recording of that song.
The other person who you work with, and it's always magic for me, is Heart the Band.
Yeah.
Bro, Heart the Band Cedo Ogopa. Like, if you like, you say, what? Heart the Band? Nani may produce Cedo.
Yeah.
That one, it's out the park.
Thank you.
Everybody, El Shaddai.
Yeah.
How does El Shaddai come about?
So I was working on my album.
The same album with just...
No, not this one, another one. There's another album coming after this one.
Okay.
So that's the one I started with. So I needed songwriters. So I called Bensol and I told him, let's go.
Bensol's an amazing writer.
Yeah, amazing songwriter. So I told him, let's go for a writing camp. He was like, and I asked him, is there something like, or anyone you want to come with who you feel will help you creatively express yourself? And he's like, let me come with Dex. I was like, sure, let's do that. So Dex comes.
And Benso has a relationship with Heart from time.
Back in the day, yeah. So I sort of like get into this. I realized that, this guy is also a very, very amazing songwriter. So I get into a deal with him. I was like, let me make some music with you for my album, and then you tell me what you want.
Okay.
For Heart the Band. Then we sort of like got into this arrangement where we did so many songs, and El Shaddai was part of the songs that was in that list. Yeah.
So I like this story of writing camps because I've seen a lot of artists doing this where it's like they choose to go to like a place outside, work on music, and then how does that help?
It's very tempting, in Nairobi to, book sessions and also plan other things around the sessions, have an interview here and then I'll go to studio, and then after studio I'll go do what and then do what. So sometimes you realize that by the time you're getting into studio you don't have the juice, or you might need to leave to attend to something else, or something else will just be so important that you need to attend to in that moment. And I realized that when artists are put in an environment where their mind is relaxed and they don't have to think about, the next thing, in that moment they're able to create something very beautiful. And not only can they do that, they can do many things within a short period of time. And that's why we do camps.
Okay.
So actually all the projects I've done probably from 2016, 2017 have all been through camps.
Okay.
Even with Heart the Bands, with Sheen, through camps. With Sheen, I don't know if we've done very few songs in studio, for instance. Yeah, very, very few. So maybe probably the first ones.
I like that because it's something you said in the beginning, and I was going to ask you about. So you and Sheen went to Naivasha. I hope that was music.
Yeah, we went to Naivasha. We did an entire album. We did 15 songs.
Yeah,
in 1 week.
And I feel like that's helpful because you're able to go there, focus, and create.
Yeah.
But I want to know, I've seen Akina Burna Boy recording music in hotel rooms. Yes. I see Akina AKA when they pull up, they set up quickly. You said if you're given the resources you need with an artist, you're able to do your thing.
Yes.
So hypothetically, we want to go make a project. Una beba nini? Of course, una beba suitcase na nguo. But what do you need besides? What are you carrying with you to create all of this magic?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So when you're doing touring with an artist, let's say when I was doing the performance tours with Nyashinsky, I used to carry a mobile setup. So that's make sure I have a laptop, I have a good microphone, an interface to connect that, a good set of headphones, and something I can play, like a tiny keyboard player.
Yeah.
A MIDI controller, sorry. And all that would fit in a backpack. And that was good enough.
Because these days you don't need a studio.
No, you don't need something really huge. Okay. You don't. And for Marathon Runner, for instance, was recorded at Boma Hotel in Eldoret.
Nice.
Yeah. We've done some songs in hotels in Malindi. Hapo 2 was done in Kilimanjaro and at Gemsuits. Nice. Yeah. Chris Kega recorded at Gemsuits, and then Shin recorded in Kilimanjaro. Yeah. So it's just easier. It's just easier to be spontaneous when the opportunity can come through. But if you want to focus on doing a body of work, it's better to go out of town.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're here today because of Ceduction.
Yes.
And I've listened to the project 10 times in its entirety. I love that Ziki Media put the YouTube video lets you listen to the whole thing straight.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And I want to get into the project, especially the diversity.
Yeah.
Because what I felt was that Cedo is a Kenyan producer who's great. But I feel like with this project, Cedo is not just a Kenyan producer, you're an East African producer who's great because you have Tanzanian acts on your project.
Yes.
You have Ugandan acts. Bro, like, you know, like, you are not big at home. You're big in this region.
Thank you.
So what Atambua as in, Cedo, East
Yeah.
Africa, not Cedo, the Kenyan producer.
Yes.
But that's how I was feeling it.
Right.
What was your thinking with Ceduction? What were you trying to achieve? What was your thought? Because I love the DJ Khaled moment we're in right now. Because you see, we don't have enough Kenyan producers putting out projects.
Mm-hmm.
We have Kenyan producers who are amazing, but to put out a project, but not just a project with features of artists people want to hear.
Yes.
You know, like, me check boxes as in features check, production check.
Yeah, man.
The story, bro, I love the Fena record where she brings all these different females from different. So, like, I get it, but like, that's what I've heard from listening.
Yeah.
For you, Cedo, what were you trying to achieve with Ceduction? What is it about?
You've nailed it, because how was I going to express myself creatively and be an artist using music? How do I do that? How do I say that, this piece of song or this thing you're listening to is my song? How am I able to do that? How do I do it without even saying anything, So,
because you didn't sing, but you gave us a whole album that's amazing, start to finish.
Yeah, I didn't sing. I wrote some of the lyrics. I produced all the songs. I arranged all the songs. I did individual, selection of artists, and deciding this one would go best with this one and this one with this one. For sure, none of those artists met the other in the album, so I had to make sure that I understand. Is this a right song for a collaboration? Who am I going to put in it? Yeah. Some songs, were started, and then I had to figure out how to finish them, because this person wrote the first verse and then said, I'm going to come back, and then I'm going to write the chorus, I'm going to write something else. And then we couldn't make that happen, so I had to think, okay, now how do I get a chorus, and so on and so forth. But the idea was I needed to be able to do a body of work that will be able to represent me as a creative, and something that I can anchor onto if you want to experience Cedo as a creative. So you want to attend a concert and you want to be able to listen to music. Fine, I can play other people's songs, but what can I do with my own music? It will be crazy, If I'm able to write music, I'm able to arrange music, I'm able to do all these things. Why limit myself in working with Kenyan artists only? Why don't I try Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda in one song? Why don't I try just working with a Tanzanian artist only in just one song? And how do I do all these things? How do I bring an artist who is big in Uganda and they may not be big in Kenya, and introduce them to this market, so that I'm able to give value not only to you by producing or working with you, but also by introducing you to another market, and so on and so forth. And then the partnership I had with Ziki gave me an opportunity to be able to do it in the right way. If I wanted to do this by myself and follow, look for money to do this, make calls and then do whatever, it is a lot of work. And the understanding of knowing that you need the right partners to be able to achieve whatever you want to do is what made this collaboration even more beautiful. So they were taking care of important aspects of the business, and I took care of the important aspects of the creativity. So we hit the ground running. Had to work with some Kenyan artists. I stayed in Uganda for a month and stayed in Tanzania also for a month.
So, serious question.
Yeah.
Cedo, okay, I don't have my phone on me, but if I get a call, I'm a Ugandan artist.
Yeah.
Wanange, Cedo ni nani? You see, Truecaller. Mine says Joker Radio 254 or whatever. If you get a call, you're a UG artist. Do UG artists know who Cedo is? And I'm asking because how do you introduce yourself?
Right.
Because you see, we know Cedo.
Yep.
Kenyans know Cedo.
Yes.
When you call a UG artist or a Tanzanian artist, of course the relationship with Ziki and all that helps, but like, do you have to sell yourself to them? In the sense, do you have to prove anything, or do they already understand and know?
The good thing is, for all the artists I was able to work with, they're already familiar with the songs I've done with other artists. They just needed to understand that, okay, this is not an artist album. It's a producer album. It's going to be something different, and to be able to, believe in that idea. So I didn't need to speak much. I just needed to let them know, the guy who did produce and arrange this song wants to work with you on something similar. Yeah. And then I'd also done an experiment with El Shaddai where I told her, the band, let me take care of the arrangement, the whatever. I'll panga all these things for you. You just deliver the creativity. Yeah. That's it. And then we agreed that for your part in the arrangement and everything that you do, you will be a collaborator, and then we will own the song. Pretty simple. Okay. So I was able to use that as to show other people and tell them, okay, this is something similar to what I want to do. And I was happy or lucky that El Shaddai was a big song in East Africa, so we didn't need to say much beyond saying I did this song. We were lucky that Shane is a very big artist across East Africa, so that also helped a lot.
What you've done though, which is the biggest blessing, is like, I think about Peremende, for example, and like, it's, you give us the Naiboy we know and love, but then you also give us an artist we don't know, and the song is able to be both big in Uganda and big in Kenya. Bro, the song with Mbuzi Gang shocked the fuck out of me. I'm like, what? Like, I thought I was listening. Like, I was like, when you need ad? Because I didn't expect that. So it's like how you're able to, it's a crossover. Which is what we really need for Kenyan music, because we can sit here all day and say, yo, Shin. But Shin alone can't do it. In the sense of, if we're able to take the songs, you're able to put Kenyan artists with other artists from, it's amazing. It
is. Wininwaji, for instance, like I was telling you, Wininwaji is such a huge artist in Uganda. Huge. She did a concert the other day. It was full. It was amazing. She had, I don't know how many people attended it, but it was amazing. But you see, people don't know how good she is and, how much they can benefit from that flavor that she brings, with her music, And getting Naiboy, Naiboy already has done some really amazing songs, and getting Naiboy on a song with Wininwaji probably something that neither of them would probably think about doing, by themselves. So I was, I don't know, lucky or blessed to be able to have opportunity. I started the song with Naiboy and another Ugandan artist, and then that other Ugandan artist didn't work, and then that's when we went to Wininwaji, and then it was just magic. It was just beautiful.
Correct me if I'm wrong. But I think you're the guy who put Trio and Kali on a song. I don't think. I tried. There was a freestyle, but there's no song with Calligraph and Trio Mio. And I'll tell you, funny story is, the first time I saw Trio was because of Nyashinsky. Nyashinsky actually posted Trio Mio on Instagram before anybody. Like, before Tele, before anybody. Like, Nyashinsky's like, yo, this guy. I'm like, who's this? Like, what is Nyashinsky saying? But like, look, the fact that you put, like, and then the song has a message. The message of Naomba for me is everything, because it's like, Trio is spitting bars, but so is Calligraph, and talking about what we go through. So not only are you just giving us music and quality music with different artists, you're also sending a message. So that song, man, that song has such a beautiful story.
First of all, I was really hoping not to, work with Calligraph or any of the artists in this album and just give you yet another Calligraph track or yet another Trio Mio track. I was hoping to do something different, or even if it's within the genre, to be able to elevate it, a little bit more, so that it sounds, new and fresh and a bit different, So I went to Kali, and Kali told me, we need to make this song a story. I want to write a story. I was like, cool, let's do that. So he started writing the story, then this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and then we finished that, and then said, okay, we'll continue. Cool. So we tried to book sessions. It didn't work out. I was on a deadline, so I called Trio. I tell Trio, I have this story. Okay, it's halfway. I need you to take it to this place. So I had to switch it kidogo from where Calligraph was taking it, so that it's able to have a certain message based on the collaboration. So I told him, please, you'll have to limit yourself to the kind of content you'll write. But this is the general vibe I want from the song. Then Trio did his thing, and then now found Arrowboy. Yeah, and then I told Arrowboy, now we need to make the song.
I wasn't even sure it was Arrowboy.
Arrowboy.
It doesn't sound like Arrowboy. It doesn't sound like Arrowboy, but it's such a dope collab.
Yeah, and then Arrowboy did the chorus, to close it up, and then that's how now the song sort of became a prayer.
Okay.
Yeah, it started going one way, and then shifted, going to another way, and then went to another way. But the consistent aspect is, I really wanted to be able to express a message in the song, and people to be able to experience a different perspective, especially of Trio.
So the song I did not expect at all was Imagination. Bro, when she said rain and then you hit the rain, I was like, no. What? Rewind. I started the song again because I'm like, nah, this nigga didn't do that. I was like, nasikia zangu. Labda zimeshika. But I was like, nah, this is different. It's like, I've never felt a love like this before. But like, it's the collab I never, bro, like the words, it makes me feel mushy. Yeah. It's a song I never thought, I never thought in my head. And I never thought Karun Nyash. Like, I knew I've heard a Nikita Nyash. Yeah. But Karun Nyash is like, huh? It's like, but sure. The delivery is, how did you do that? How did you make that happen?
Yeah, man. So, Nyash wrote the song, the whole song. And then I was really struggling to find a collaborator, and I needed a collaborator who's not only going to match Nyash creatively, but is going to feel like a perfect match, you know. And then I'd worked with Karun on something before, and then it just hit me. She'd be the perfect person to do it. But I wasn't sure she's going to accept. She's going to accept to do it because Karun is also a very, you know, she's such an amazing creative, and she has her own way of working and her own way of doing things. So I told her, you know what, I have this idea. If you like it, let me know. So she recorded the verse, did all the harmonies herself, gave us an idea of how she wants it balanced and mixed. She's such a beautiful creative. So then sent back the project. And then we had it. I listened to it. I arranged it. And then I realized we need the rain. We need the rain.
But it's such a beautiful record. Like the words, the way it makes you feel. It's an emotional record, but it's a beautiful emotion record. Yeah. So I'm torn between something, Cedo. Me personally, I'm torn between Nyam Nyam and Ability.
Wow, really?
Because those are my two favorites.
Wow.
So like Ability, I can't deny.
Yeah.
But then Nyam Nyam is growing on me.
Yeah.
I was like, shit, okay, this is not my vibe, but I'm starting to fall for it. Yeah. So as I've listened more and more, I'm like, okay, I can't decide between the two. Yeah. But I want to ask you, what's your favorite song of this album? You've got 15 amazing songs. Wow. What's your favorite song of this album?
Wow, that's hard because I don't think I really have a favorite. What I know is that I connect to the different songs depending on the moment, you know. When when I want to listen to something really loud and noisy, you know, I'll put shots in there. Yes. And then, you know, just put the volume to maximum, you know. When I want to chill, you know, I listen to Imagination and Ability, you know. When I'm feeling a bit playful, there's Nyam Nyam, you know, there's Touch, you know, and so on and so forth. And that was the sort of like the concept behind the album. I was trying to see if I can maintain like the different identities and cultures and vibes of the song, but also try to make them cross over. So that it's not too foreign for a Kenyan when you're listening to a song done by a Slay and you're feeling, you know, this thing is a bit too bongo for me. I wanted to see if I can make it cut across. So so every song sort of like has its own moment. You know, I might love this song at this moment, and then in the afternoon, I know I'm feeling this song right now, you know. But they're all my babies, you know.
So you put out this project, but then you said that you had worked on another project before this. Yeah. So I'm curious, like knowing how much music you make and the different things you've done. When you were deciding this is the 15, how many songs did you have to choose from?
I think there are probably 20.
20?
I think there were 20 or 22.
Okay.
Yeah, 20 or 22. I was hoping that I'm able to do... I really wanted to go to Rwanda as well, you know, to make some, you know, get some artists from Rwanda as well, but I just couldn't make it. So I have some like sort of like half songs here where I have a verse here, you know, I have a chorus here, I have a, you know, and so on and so forth. But we had to get out from 22 to 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you find Ziki? And I guess for artists out there, Ziki's been very low key. I don't know much about Ziki, but I saw the promo for your album. I saw the album launch. Yeah. I guess how did you find Ziki? And I guess how are they able to help you as Cedo? Because you can produce, you can arrange, you can do all of that for yourself. But like you also need help. I guess how are they able to help you?
Yeah. So I really didn't want to deal with certain aspects of the business directly. I knew that it was important to get guys who are experts in this thing, and they have a really good track record of working with artists who are aligned with the kind of project that I wanted to do, because this is Ceduction is like my debut like commercial project, where the artist selection is, we had to work with artists who already understand the vibe in the market, artists who understand music business and so on and so forth. I couldn't work with the upcoming artists on this specific project. So for that reason, I needed to work with someone who understands the market and has the roots and knows, if I give them the song and tell, and we have an idea of, we want this song to be able to reach this number of people, we want it to be able to be available on this number of platforms, I need to know that that's a partner who's able to be able to achieve that. Okay. So we spent about 1 year going back and forth. Wow. Agreeing on, okay, this is the kind of vibe we want, this is the kind of reach we want, these are the kind of artists we want, and so on and so forth. And then we started the journey and started going around, did the recordings. So we've been together through conceptual, and they're working with me all through the release of the project, and even past the release of the project, to make sure that we've checked all the boxes. And that's very key, to have partnerships with people who completely understand what they do and they're passionate about it, will make you go so much farther than you would have if you were doing something without the understanding of what you need, what is required of you. Because the biggest challenge you have in the music industry right now, especially in a world where there's equipment is easy to get, you don't need a lot of barriers to get your song. You just do your song and put it up on YouTube. However, if you don't understand how that space, how that works, you might have good music, but it might just drown in there just because you don't work with people who understand or have experience in knowing how to put out music and putting it in the right places, where if someone needs that song, they need to be able to get it and listen to it immediately.
So are we getting videos for any of these songs?
Definitely. You're getting videos for the songs.
For sure?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
If I
even with the whole logistical nightmare of getting them from you guys, everything's gonna work.
Yeah, okay. It will. It was difficult. It was difficult working with 21 other artists.
22.
Yeah. So total we are 22 artists. Doing that kind of thing has so many logistics. You have to know and understand everybody and what their needs are and so on and so forth. But if we were able to do that with the music, there's no way we can't do that for the videos.
Awesome.
Sure, it's possible.
One of my final questions for you is, what goals do you have for Ceduction?
Yeah.
Besides seducing us, and stay away from my girlfriend, but what goals do you have for Ceduction?
Okay. I want to be able to create a place where people can be able to go and select content to use in their everyday life. When you wake up in the morning, I want to have something for you. When you're having lunch, I want to have something for you. When you're going down the aisle, I want to have something for you. When you're going to bed, I want to have something for you. When you're dedicating something to someone, when you're feeling sad, when you're feeling happy, when you want to pray, I want to be able to, because I know how to make different music.
I listened to Naomba on Sunday and it felt it felt
right.
Perfect.
Exactly.
I could relate. I'm like, shit,
exactly.
Okay.
It just feels right, because there's that moment when you want to party and you don't want to think about certain things.
There's times I want shots, but there's times I want Naomba.
Yeah,
and then there's times I'm like, you're my medicine.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, the times, So I needed, when you want to express yourself in these different aspects, I wanted to be able to have something for you there. So my goal is to be able to make sure that this music reaches as many people as possible who are able to resonate with the music, who are able to connect with it. Because if you listen to the song and it captures you in that moment, I have put secrets in there that will make the music, stick with you, and so that I'm hoping that your mind will be able to prompt you every time you feel like, when the emotion or the feeling is right. I need the song to be able to feel like it's the right soundtrack for that moment. Okay. Yeah.
May I want a video for Goody? Goody is too fire.
Goody is fire.
Too fire.
Yeah, we have to do a video for Goody. Tell Camila. Camila is...
Hi, Camila. Stronger. But congratulations on the album.
Thank you so much.
It's an amazing body of work. I hope that people are able to really sit down and digest it, because if you actually get to listen to the project as a whole, you're going to be able to understand so much more. And I hope, because the reason we play an album every day is because we want to grow the culture. People listen to an album. Yeah. Because people will hear the single.
Yes.
People will definitely hear shots in the club. Yeah. But if you get a chance to actually hear Naomba, you'll be like, what? Trio, me on Cal? Yeah. But if you actually get to hear even Peremende or even the song with Fena, but it's about how do we get Kenyans to sit down and consume albums. So even how they put a whole, let's put it out there and encourage people to listen to the album.
Let me tell you, one of the biggest challenges we have in the industry, Jukes, is when one person takes makes the choice to be responsible, and say, I'm going to make an effort to make sure that I present this culture to people as a lifestyle, so that people start listening to albums as a lifestyle. It has a very big ripple effect to the whole country, to the industry, to the business, because if there are efforts that I can do by myself, but if I have you to do your part that you know how to do very well, it helps the whole industry. And then eventually more people become inspired by that, and more people start putting more music out there and making an effort to ask themselves, how can I get my music to play on that radio station, or how can I get myself to get gigs, or how can I get myself to do this? And so one small thing helps the whole industry in a very, very big way. And I'm really thankful, for inviting me and giving me a chance to say my story and be here. It does a lot of good for the industry, not just for myself. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing your time. But if you think about it, if we don't imagine if you've worked on this album for a long time. Yeah. It's not that you woke up to last week and said, I'm dropping. So it's imagine you spend all of that time and then nobody consumes it, or nobody, you only hear that one song. I feel like there's so much, the music that you don't know is really good is because you've not actually gotten a chance to sit down and
you haven't. Yeah, that's true. And the fulfillment comes from that. The fulfillment comes from knowing that, you made a piece of music, you made something, and someone was able to listen to it and vibe with it and say, oh my God, I love this song, dedicate it to you, I don't know to who. And then that's just beauty over there,
My final question is one that came to my mind when you were speaking today. You said you were working on a different album, and then you decided to release this one.
Yes.
My mind wonders, okay, what was that album like? I know we're going to get it, and I want us to focus and give as much love to the Ceduction and get to, because I hate when I ask artists, when's the new music coming? But you just gave us an album with 15 songs. I can't be asking you for new music. But my mind is curious, what did that album sound like, and what's different about that album from Ceduction? Because give us some teaser. Okay. I'm interested. What's the difference?
Yeah, the difference is that this other album is it has levels and layers of, how do I say, intentional creativity. The songs tell a story. So when you listen to song number 1 to song number 10, for instance, you'll be hearing different aspects of the story. And when you're coming to watch the song in a performance, you'll be taken through a journey or a story of the whatever that story is going to be. So the music becomes like the soundtrack for this particular story. And then it's also not limited to the known artists. I have a lot of new people who you've never heard before. So it's going to be interesting to hear people you've never heard before, never even knew they existed, and hearing such a beautiful masterpiece, from that. I want to be able to work with as many people as possible and to have many different outputs of songs and projects that will give people an opportunity to be able to experience music in a completely new way or a different way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have 30,000 people listening. I've ignored all of their tweets and shit. But I have to ask one question from here.
Yeah.
Someone is asking, who are the Kenyan producers you look up to?
Yeah. And
any Kenyan artists that you're working with or you would love to work with that you haven't worked with yet. Okay. So you've worked with a lot of people in the Kenyan industry. Yes. I'm curious, is there anybody you haven't worked with that you would love to work with? We put it out there. And then I'm curious as to, I saw Musioka at your album launch.
Yes.
Musioka is a good.
Amazing.
I'm curious, Una look up to Nani? Okay. Is it Akinawa? I don't know. Is it Ambrose? Is it Bruce? Is it Ted? I guess Kenyan producers you look up to, because you're opening. You're now one of the guys are looking up to. Yeah. Who do you look up to? Yeah. And then artists that we don't know that are Kenyan and we should definitely check out as we end.
I think it'll be easier to answer this way. I've really been inspired by many Kenyan producers over time. Musioka, for instance, I've told you about Clemo. Clemo played a very big role in the earlier days, advising me, especially in telling me, do's and don'ts. I used to look up to Musioka. I even worked at Homeboys for a small period of time when I was working with Red Sun. Yeah. It was just amazing, to see what he'd been able to do before and what he was doing right now. And just his lifestyle and the way he does his thing really, really inspires me. Lucas of Ogopa is man, probably one of my biggest inspirations. You know, I used to love his music. You know, the way those tracks would go, how he would arrange the songs. You know, he was also very good in terms of how he would direct an artist and how you could feel it. You could see, you could know an artist worked with Lucas and this one was done by another producer. You know, I really love that essence. What Clemo, for instance, has been able to build after being a music producer, he has this own company, Goma,
everything,
and so on and so forth. I'm really inspired by, you know, all that. Ted, he laid a very beautiful foundation, you know, in the beginning, and so on and so forth. So all those goats, you know, played a different part, you know, in inspiring me in a way or another. In terms of Kenyan artists who I really want to work with, right now, I'm really trying the best I can to find people who are in alignment with my kind of vibe. I'm not really...
But you threw us off with Saru.
I did that.
Never expected it. Bro, like, Cedo Saru, Mocho.
Yeah.
We, like, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So that's it. So I can't really say that, you know, I really want to work with Red Sun or I really want to work with Sauti. What I'm looking out for is anybody who I feel has got X factor or some unique kind of talent or just vibe that, you know, when we sit in studio, I feel like me and this person can be able to do magic. And I think that will be evident in the next couple of songs as I'm releasing them. Okay. Yeah, I'm at that point where I'm really hungry. You know, I'm really hungry for unique content and different kinds of people. And I'm not limiting myself to known artists. No, okay. I'm looking for talent, X factor, people who are unique or people who I am in the same kind of, you know, tribe with.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Cedo. As promised, we're going to play you guys Ceduction in its entirety, so please stay tuned. It's an amazing album, 15 songs featuring so many different artists you know, artists you don't know. Bro, me, I thought Rema was Rema.
Yeah.
Kuna Rema mwingine wa Uganda, bro. So please stick around, listen to Ceduction by Cedo. You listen to Radio 254. We will be right back. Enjoy.